chairman's remarks. Dan, I wish Mike were here too. We're going to have a little bit of a challenge going forward with Joe off the committee. That will drop us down to, quote, 2 functional members, you and Mike. So for months, maybe a couple of months, maybe 4 months, I'll be sitting in here. I got to check with town council just to see what my role can be. I might be able to, we could have a quorum of 3 with me because I'm still on the committee. I could still be on the committee.
Oh, yeah. Mitch was.
Right, yeah. I could still be on, but because I serve on the board, I'll have to abstain from voting. So we'll still have a quorum.
You sure about that?
Yeah, because I don't want to get into a conflict of interest of voting for something that we did here and then moving it up there and having the appearance of a conflict of interest. So we can still pass it, we can still do stuff.
I think if you put a disclosure in, that you wouldn't have any issue there.
Yeah, that's what I said. I got to check with
Mitch voted.
I got to check with the town, just to make sure on that. So we'll still function, I just got to get 2 more people, 3 more people for the board. So that I can sit in here and not necessarily be subjected to voting on that and shut and kind of close you guys out. Joe is, I don't know how many things Joe is in, but he's in a few. I know he's on Bay Path. I know he's involved in the church. I know he's involved in sports.
No, not many sports.
Huh?
Not many sports.
Not anymore.
No. Never were. My kids weren't big sports.
Okay.
Neither was I.
Yeah.
We watch it, we don't play it.
Did you get some promotion at work too recently?
A while back, yeah.
A while back, okay. And if I remember correctly, you're traveling too.
Not as much, that's on COVID.
No?
No.
Okay.
No.
So he really isn't that busy.
He's just lazy.
He's just faking it to me so he can step down. Okay. So again, best to you, Joe, whatever you decide to do, okay? I will look for you next year at the town meeting to have your comments, so.
Oh, I'll be there.
I know, I'll be sitting. Okay, old business. Review, well, first the minutes. Tamika took the minutes. So I don't know if they're posted online or not, but we can postpone it till the next time when Mike will be here because he was at the meeting. And I really don't, look at.
Oh, because that was a joint meeting.
That was a joint meeting.
Yeah.
So she wrote the minutes for us. Review of previously submitted business approved by board for use of ARPA funding. We took 3 major items there. And the 3 major items were the safety building, the ADA stuff, and the
senior center stuff.
What's that?
Windows inside.
Windows inside
library
and stuff.
Senior center. Yeah.
The board decided they would only look at 1 item, the safety building. And, correct?
That's what I heard,
Yeah. And it was due to the fact that Lyndon had a concern that ARPA funding would be taken away because the House is proposing a bill to pull back any funding that's left. But I argue that it has to go through the Senate. And because money that was given out, I don't think the Senate is going to take away. So that would be a real heavy lifting, I think, for anybody to lose that money. So I think I would consider it fairly good money, but if we don't allocate it, they could take it back.
So let me ask a question. What was the vote of the board?
I think it was 100% board vote on that.
Yeah, but that was the only one that they
That was
voted
the
on
only
at
one
all.
that they considered at all. The other ones, they didn't even propose. We listed them, but they didn't even
They
propose.
wouldn't even make a motion on them.
The
The
other,
reason I ask is because there's a new board now.
Yes.
what?
There's a new board.
Right.
That's true.
Right, and the money has not been spent yet.
Right.
The other reason, I believe, if I heard correctly, was the fact that Lyndon felt that we're not sure if we're going to need other projects that we want to save the money for.
So on, which is fine. I guess the only one I really had a concern about was, well, actually two, all of them. So all of them have, the one with the ADA compliance, the money was for the evaluation was already spent.
Right.
Because we have the evaluation in hand.
Right.
So I'm kind of baffled at that one, why we wouldn't do something with the study we already paid money to have done.
Yeah.
Right.
It seemed like his concern was that there was no guarantee that the project could be completed in time and paid for before the money could potentially be drawn.
Right, by
drawn
the
down.
end of 2025.
Well, when Seth was here, I thought it was 2026.
Didn't they say 2025?
I thought it was the end of 2025.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
December 31st, 2025.
Right.
It seemed to me that was less the concern, because it seems like there's no way that you couldn't get it done by then if you started on it soon.
Right.
It's more, he's worried about the money being pulled back at some point before it's paid for.
But I would imagine if you get into a project, this can't be the only project that a town's get involved in that
Right.
the
That's the
payment.
way I look at it.
So, I mean,
Right.
some level of commitment that I'm sure you can get.
When you've got signed contracts, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I'm glad we agree. You're the lawyer.
yeah,
So it just makes sense, right? I
right,
mean,
right. So, but they held off on that, so they really only spent roughly $250 of the money for the safety building. And they had $728,860 in the kitty. And they had $771,860. They took $43,000 was already dedicated, so that left $728,860 is what I had left over.
yeah, I think the last sheet that it was both, it was Becky that sent it out.
Yeah,
And they allocated money for the TA wages shortfall and then a COLA increase, and it brought it down to 706 is what
Okay.
they had left. Yeah.
so if we take roughly $250, and these figures had a 25% bump up for, future uncertainties. So if we take the 250 and say we make it 300,000, if you will, 25%, just throw it up, 300, that would bring us down to about $300,000,
Which is what you need for ADA.
right? 400,000, right? 400,000. But we have 300,000 for ADA. So we have more than enough left over if we don't do the library. But the library was so we had enough to really cover it, but there was something else that was taken back, that was there. Because when we added all this stuff into it, it left a shortfall. Oh, yeah. There was something there, plus 290. What was the plus 290 that they said? Do you remember?
Well, if we were looking at all three projects, it would have exceeded.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
We knew that going.
Yeah.
Right, and we mentioned that, we may have to
And-
find other funding.
Right, and we, we let them know that we weren't specifically ranking these, but we did find one or two to be more significant than the third.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Because I don't think we've spent money. I mean, there was 30 grand that they allocated in ARPA to do a study for the siding and the windows, but we haven't spent that yet. So to me, that's less pressing than the two. Well, I don't even know if we spent the money on the public safety on that study yet. Maybe we have, but
Yeah,
we definitely
I think
have
we
on the
have.
ADA.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the two that we already spent money for an evaluation / study, to me,
ADA
We
in
mentioned
particular, I think, going back to the funds and worrying about the funds being pulled, it's ADA. You're doing this to comply with federal law, right?
Right. So I think Lyndon, because he works for the government, was being very, very cautious about being stuck holding the bag. Okay? I'm not so sure that the government would do that, but that was his issue. There was, well, that's basically it from our standpoint of the stuff. So I would have loved to have seen them dedicate the money to ADA, to that compliance issue.
Yeah.
To me, it's a state mandated thing. I don't know why it wasn't done, but anyways, that's kind of what the ARPA meeting was, I believe. Dan, you want to throw anything else in there?
That was really the gist of it.
Yeah, the meeting
From
was-
our perspective.
Right.
So they approved the public safety, so that's moving forward?
Right.
That's actually
It's
good.
allocated.
That's been
Yeah.
allocated from the ARPA funds.
And they're gonna start whatever the
Yeah, if they have a-
groundwork
yeah.
to, okay, that's good, because that building has been a problem.
Right.
At least that's in the works.
So that's pretty much it from, I believe that's it. They talked about other stuff. They got into the water issue, whether we build a well or not, using ARPA funds to do a study, which was $129,000.
Oh, we'll do another study and not pull the trigger on it, that's great.
So,
Add it to the list.
I gotta tell you this joke, and this is the truth. When in my prior life, I worked for an association. I handled the political action committee, and so in the insurance business, we dealt with Boston, and one of the Boston senators I dealt with was Senator Glodis from Worcester. So we were having a bill which was not favorable to our association. Speaking of studies. So I said to him, look, Senator, we got a problem here. We got to do something about this bill. And he said, don't worry about it. No, I said, Senator, you don't understand. I represent over 1,000 members. I got to give them an answer. What's happening to the bill? He goes, don't worry about it. I said, okay. You're telling me not to worry about it. What are you telling me? He goes, don't worry about it. It's going in for study. It'll never come back out. That's what I mean about
It's the
study.
kiss of death.
Right. And I think they discussed a little other but that was really, it was about us more, the ARPA fund stuff. There was a piece that was brought out that I think about recreation in terms of can we put some money aside out of ARPA for recreation? And I think that was another issue that Lyndon dealt with in the purpose of, well, if these funds come back, I can't do that. But not doing this means what other money is he setting aside for some other place? So there was mixed feelings that went on about that, but it never got funded, so. And that's pretty much it on that. And I thank, Tamika, I thank you for taking the minutes of the meeting and processing it. Thank you on that. I think the meeting overall, would you say was positive, Dan?
I would say so.
They really appreciated us going there and sitting down with them and just opening it up. And what did they say? They said, what would you recommend? What would be your choices? And what did I say? We're just making recommendations because we're following through on our due diligence. That's what we're here for, to provide you with due diligence. So, all right. That's it for that. Any questions on that?
No?
No? Okay. Next thing I want to look at, and I touched on a little bit, is CIPC's future. And that is, as Joe steps down, he has a lot of files, which he's going to transfer over to me, so that we can continue working on this. By the way, did the sweeper get approved at the town meeting? I think it did.
No.
No.
Okay. Sounds like the plan is to hold that over for a
Oh, that's
special.
right.
For free cash.
Yeah.
For the fall, yeah.
That's what I figured would happen.
Right, and we have one less person to run it now, so, but as far as the CIPC is concerned, this committee has been in existence since 2008, thanks to Joe, when he was on the board of directors. He instituted the bylaws to put this thing together. And I think over those 15 years, it's been a variable asset to the town. We have controlled spending as best we could, and I think, or hopefully, created an environment where the departments or boards thought carefully about what they were submitting and how they were going to present it to us so that we could see a favorable light, and also request additional information from them, and then have a system of rating that's pretty standard across, so that we didn't have any conflict of interest, if you will, because it was purely a number. So with that in mind, I think whoever comes on the board will find it easy to step into this position. And I think in talking with Joe, he did have somebody in mind to recommend to me. I'm not sure.
You had a couple people you were
Huh?
mentioning. I don't think I had any, but you had a couple that you were talking about.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I got to check it out with him.
I will keep my eyes open for interest, though, or my ears open.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of people in this town, like you, Dan, who want to serve something, don't want to get involved too heavily in politics, if you will. And this is certainly a non-biased committee.
It's a good spot for that.
Yeah. And I think for anybody that comes in, it would be a good spot for learning about the town, how it works a little bit, what the money is, how we spend it, and without being too threatening and also too time-consuming. You know, so I think this is good. So anybody in the town that is viewing this, that is interested in sitting on the CIPC, please send me a text or an email to hseckman at hseckman1947@gmail.com, or you can call me. If you go to the website, you'll see my name there to do that.
I think you just announced how old you are.
Did I? You picked up on that. I thought yours was the same.
It is.
Joe was the co-chair, vice chair. And so we're going to be looking for a vice chair.
Notice how he's looking at you.
Mike is missing. I can't look at Mike. So, we're going to looking for a vice chair, so when I can't show up, you can at least run the meeting, or not run it if we don't have enough people on it. But I think it has going forward, I think this, in all of the places I've looked, all this towns, cities, most of them have a capital improvement plan. In fact, the state wants you to have a capital improvement program committee. So I think it's got a good future going forward. I just want to get some good people on it. That's all. So if you can think of anybody, please.
Okay.
I have a couple thoughts.
A couple prospects.
Yeah, feel them out.
There you go.
That's all you can do.
Yeah.
If they never get asked, they can never say yes.
Right.
Okay, any other comments? I mean, it's going to be a short meeting, so I'm just trying to go over. Next meeting, we'll pick who's going to be chair, vice chair, and all that stuff, because we need to do something.
Yep.
Fill in there. Any other comments, Dan?
No.
Joe, parting comments or anything?
Keep up the good work, guys.
I miss you, Joe.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Maybe I'll stop in and visit.
Oh, why not?
But I'll get you, the file, the tracking files
Right.
that we use.
Right,
and,
okay. Yeah, you're
some of the
supposed to
Like a
historical stuff.
Google Doc or something, just so we can.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Throw it in a Google Sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a couple different files, but the other thing is like the letter we submitted that I'm sure you talked about with the board, that'll turn into our report for FY24.
Okay.
So you don't have to redo anything when the FY24 report is due, it's
Okay.
already done. And the same is true with the next report that they're gonna ask for is FY23, and that letter's all done too from last
Right,
year.
right,
So I'll
okay.
send you those, the tracking file, and anything else that I come across that.
Okay. Yeah, you say Google Doc, so would it be like shared, so each one of us could go in
Yeah,
there?
so-
Or we could do even like a drive, and if there's multiple docs, we can just do like a CIPC
folder
drive.
in a drive,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Now all members can have access to it.
And that is something that's in the cloud, so that if I change it, he gets the changes?
Yeah,
Okay. Well, that'll make it so
and
easy.
both of your emails are Gmail, right? Yeah, so that helps, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we got that done. What's the next meeting date? Let's look at June
I don't think we set one, did we?
as our last one for the year. Kind of
I don't have one plugged in yet. I don't think we picked one yet.
Yeah, I don't see one in June.
No, we don't have one yet. I don't think it really matters. I mean, come July 1st,
I was gonna say, do you wanna wait until July anyway? Cause that way the appointments are done and then you can reorg and,
well, I just don't know what's gonna come up in the meantime.
oh yeah. well,
That's my problem with the new board. I don't know what if there'll be questions or what comes up. I've got pretty much Tuesday, Thursday open up, 21st, I got a Wednesday. 8th, 7th, 8th of June is open, 6th. So any particular one? I mean, I think if we hold it, my feeling would be, if we hold it the 22nd, 21st, 22nd of June, I don't think that's vacation, is it?
Yeah. Well, I think school, I don't remember when the last day of school is,
Yeah.
but it doesn't really matter.
That'll give us a chance to get any
What
paperwork.
about either the 22nd or the 15th? Either.
Yeah, I think the 15th, we could do that, I guess. I'd like-
15th, I will not be able to make it.
Okay,
I could do the
So the
22nd.
22nd.
all right, let's do the 22nd then. And I'll get that out. 7/22, 6/22. For our last meeting of the year is 6:30. You guys want to change the time?
6:30 is good.
Yep.
6:30? Okay. All right. Kind of a question for next year. I could have saved it for the next month, I guess, but I'd like you to think about, how would you, if you were sitting in my chair, how would you run the committee differently?
I mean, the only thing I would do differently, and it's, I mean, I don't know, maybe, with a new town administrator, it might make it a little easier, because we were kind of in transition this year. Gary was just, he was trying to
Right.
keep the ship afloat and things
Right.
like that. So with the new town administrator, and hopefully he has a few months to get his, everything settled and kind of in a groove. But I feel like the notification requesting things to be submitted maybe wasn't as solid as it could have been, and that's
Yeah.
why we didn't get a whole lot back this year. So I think maybe having an initial level setting session with the new town administrator of how we're gonna request the department submit things, like what we did way back with Margaret.
Right.
Everyone submitted things through Margaret. Margaret screened them, had conversations with her department heads, and then they got sent to us. So they were kind of flushed out in advance. That seemed to work well, and that may be something you want to work through with Austin.
I'll bring that up to him.
Yeah.
I want to try to meet with him separately and
Yeah.
just go over the stuff like capital, how it ties together, and anyway, sort of
Yeah.
notification process.
I would say this year that was a kind of our, I think that held us back from the normal list we typically have.
This was an unusual year
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, so I don't know that you can necessarily draw too much from the way
Right.
things went this year.
Yeah, it was transition year. It
Yeah.
was
And-
different.
And we had other things. The ARPA thing was a
Yeah.
big part of the focus for the last
Right.
several months.
Right.
And the other thing, now we're getting really close to that point where debt excluded debt's gonna truly fall off.
Right.
And I still think decisions should be made to keep that level, although maybe things will change now. We don't want to keep that level because the tax is going to go up in
gonna
the
go
other
back, right?
area. So, I mean, that's a whole nother conversation, but, assuming that you want to keep that same plan, or the town in general does, maybe got to look at some things that could fill that gap.
Yeah, I think if the TA can do the processing up front, so we don't have it scattered in, coming out all over the
Yeah.
place, would be,
Yeah, because we had like 2 or 3 years where it seemed to work really smooth.
yes.
Where it went through the TA, and I think it was across 2 different TAs.
Yeah.
And
Margaret and Mike.
Yeah, and things just, we got a bunch of requests. For the most part, the information was all there. We met with the departments, and it seemed to just go good.
I think,
Even with Ron.
Yeah, one session, one of the rounds with
Yeah.
Ron, you're right, yeah.
but one of my confusion items is, when Ron created the 5-year plan, it was almost like the departments felt, here's my request.
I'm done for
I'm
5
done.
years.
I don't have to submit
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
anymore. So there wasn't a communication process properly done that tells them, that's great, we know where we're going in 5 years, but we need to know the stuff you want now,
Yeah.
type of thing.
It's regardless of whether, and a 5-year plan's good, but a 5-year plan needs to be refreshed every year. And people just, when the 5-year plan is done and it's presented like that, they just need to know that, hey, this isn't like, you don't do anything for the next 5
It's a
years.
living
This
document.
gets, it's a living document that gets changed and
Right.
updated and, yeah.
Plus, in the past, we always had, and I don't know, I threw some out from 2014 of, we got the request, we have the backup information, and we have the rating sheet to it. So, I mean, that's right, it's no guesswork, we know exactly what's going on.
Yep,
So, and that you tally on your system.
right.
So we have that stuff. So, yeah, okay, so I'll mention that, TA. Revolving door.
Looks like Lions Club.
It's what?
Lions Club, I
Oh,
think, yeah.
that's what it is. Okay. All right. Any other comments about the committee, or you guys pretty much understand the bylaws and all that kind of stuff? For new people, would you recommend a kit be put together?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. With some type of instruction says, here's
Right,
what's
to get up to
on.
speed faster.
Yeah, I mean, just like even the state handbook from, I think the Division of Local Services has a capital improvement handbook.
They do.
That's good.
Yeah.
And then, maybe as a little addendum to that, kind of how we operate locally.
Right.
Along those lines, but.
Copy of our bylaws for the.
Yeah, our bylaw, which.
Basic stuff.
The revised version of our bylaw and, yeah.
A history of who served on the board before.
And maybe even it's good to have a couple copies, even electronically, so if you're talking to someone, yeah, this is what it's all about.
Yeah.
Don't get overwhelmed by the state document. Here's our, kind of our summary sheet of how we do.
Yeah, because of some of the stuff that's in the state document kit,
Yeah,
we don't even use.
right. We
Yeah.
could, we just don't have to.
We could, but we're not that big that we have need for all that stuff, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I looked at some plans on other states, and ours were big cities, and it's like, these guys are putting together 60 pages. They have the building plans, they have everything. in
They
there.
also got some big administrative
And they got
teams.
some,
that-
right, so we're not there, we're not there. Anything else?
No.
I appreciate your feedback, in terms of how we can make this better, easier, more efficient. So we get and keep quality people on the team. That's it. How long you been on now, Joe?
Must be 6 years,
Yeah?
because
Terms?
this, this is the end of the term. I think it was just two appointments, so yeah, it must be 6 years.
No, you could be a senator now.
There you go.
6-year term. All right. Anything else? I don't want to delay this. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved.